All right. Hopefully everything's working. We're in. Welcome in on deck. Gonna let a few of you guys get in here before I really get started, but we do got a lot to talk about. Updates this week to talk to. A lot of headlines, a lot of things going on with the Atlanta Braves. So we're going to get into that as soon as we can in just a second. But before we do, as always, do me a favor if you're already in here. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell for notifications, all that good stuff so that you're up to date with everything going on with the Atlanta Braves now and in the future as we move into the regular season and hopefully a postseason. So let's move into everything we got to talk about tonight. First off, hey, Llerandi Gloves. Those guys are the best. Go check them out. Their link is in the description. And I promise you guys, you will not want to miss out on this opportunity. High quality price out there. I promise. 18 different colors to choose from. Lots of styles. All that good stuff. So go check them out. www.llerandygloves.com. So let's move into what we got to talk about tonight. Really, like I said, a lot of headlines to move through. I told you on Monday to expect some moves this week. And I didn't expect some of the ones that happened, but I knew that we had to get to a point where we're narrowing down our rosters, right? We had to do that. The Braves are now doing that as expected, but we got to talk about just everything that's happened since Monday and maybe even what's going to happen as we move on. First off, the biggest shocker, I guess, would probably be that they optioned Kyle Wright. That came as a big surprise to a lot of folks, came as a mild surprise to me. Really, I thought he could be a valuable receiver early on in the season, but it's important to realize that Wright has also not found his groove. His stats in spring are just not right there at the moment. And as much as we want to talk about that competition for the fifth spot in the rotation, that eventually awaits Soroka, as we all know, between Wright and Wilson. Wilson has taken that and run with it. It's not really a competition anymore. Wright has double the ERA that Wilson does. And, I really think Wilson's earned that spot. I think it's a matter of time before we see him in that fifth spot until Soroka returns. But Wright, on the other hand, sits at spring training at the end of it for him with a 4.5 ERA. So it's just not what we need as a starter. I think we all sort of knew that. I just didn't expect them to outright option him to the minor leagues quite yet. I really think the Braves think that Kyle Wright has a lot of more potential that is waiting to be unlocked. So hopefully that will be the case. That potential, hopefully, really is consistency. That's really all he's missing. We all know he's got stuff, right? The movement on the ball, he's got that. He has spurts where he's great. He has spurts where he's just not. I see a question in the chat asking me if I think we should look at trade options for him. I think that's certainly in the conversation. I don't know if the Braves are quite there yet. I don't know how much trade value he has. And you're better off trade when a guy's hot than when he's not. We went through that the other night with Bryce Wilson. I told you why I didn't think that trade was going to be there. But again, we know he has stuff. We just, if he's not ready now, we have others that are. That's the thing that depth gives you. Wright has been really shaky this spring. And as much as I say spring training doesn't mean everything, it does mean something, especially if you're trying to earn a spot. So I think it's safe to say right now that Bryce Wilson has earned the fifth spot in the rotation for the time being until the inevitable return of Mike Soroka, probably around April. But for right now, Kyle Wright is optioned to the minor leagues, and hopefully we'll see him before the season's end. Brian Snitker spoke very highly of him and said that he expects to see him and the next guy I'm going to talk about before the season end contributing to the major league roster. The other guy we got to talk about, the Braves also optioned Jacob Webb. This was also very surprising. Honestly, this surprised me more than it surprised a lot of people, and it surprised me more than it surprised optioning Jacob Webb surprised me more than optioning Kyle Wright. Here's why. The assumption that this was leading to either Carl Edwards or Nate Jones, take that to the side for a second. Jacob Webb was dominant last year. I don't know his numbers off cuff in the spring right now, but I remember how confident I was when he came out of the pen last year. So this came to me as a very big surprise. Interestingly enough, we're going to move into something real quick. The assumption when this happened was that, okay, Nate Jones and Carl Edwards Jr. are leading the charge to make it into the Braves bullpen over Jacob Webb, Kyle Wright. Again, interestingly enough, If you didn't hear already, it's been everywhere. Carl Edwards Jr. opted out of his contract this year. Yes, you heard me correctly. The guy that was on a minor league deal opted out of his contract. No real details as to why. Edwards has been solid. 1 run and 8 1/3 innings this spring, 7 hits and 6 walks. Not been elite by any stretch, but he has been all right. It does seem like Nate Jones may have overtaken him, or at least Edwards felt that way and decided to check out other options. But concerning the Braves, this is what I think. Carl Edwards could still come to the Braves. That is still a possibility, but they would have to give him a major league deal. I don't know if they want to spend major league money on a guy that was given a minor league deal and a guy that's kind of shaky at the moment. This was a smart move by Edwards. Make no mistake about it. This was a business move, a smart move. You're bouncing out of a strong spring, and it could land you somewhere else in the majors making better money. Because if he did go to the minors, also think about this. If he went to the minors for the Braves, there's a lot of competition before he would ever make it back to the majors. That could potentially be the end of his career. That could potentially be the end of his run. So it's not all money. It's a lot of it is, keeping yourself alive. And of course, the money involved as well. So here's what we do know. Jacob Webb was optioned. Nate Jones and Carl Edwards Jr. were the potential favorites to take those spots. Now Edwards Jr. is gone, in theory, at least for the moment. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with, again, in theory, Nate Jones right now. So Nate Jones so far this spring has 6 1/3 innings pitched. He has a 0 ERAs. Very small sample size, but no runs given up. In 2020, he struggled in 21 games. ERA north of 6. But I'm going to cough that up to the COVID season, okay, because it is a strange season. And that might be the easy way out. You might think, Tyler, that's such an easy way out. You're just giving him that. But in 2019, that ERA was cut in half at 3.48. So I think there's certainly room for him to grow, but maybe he can have a bounce back year. It wouldn't be the first time that's happened. Tyler Matzik, who pitched today, struggled today, but for the past year has been dominant. He struggled a few years ago. He had a bounce back season last year. So it's certainly not bad. And Jacob Webb likely has more options. So I still think you see Jacob Webb, you see Kyle Wright before season's end, pending some adjustments for Kyle Wright. I think you definitely see Jacob Webb in our fluid bullpen at the moment. Like I said, Jacob Webb here surprises me significantly more than Kyle Wright just because, Jacob Webb is consistent. Again, his spring, I don't know the ins and outs of it necessarily, but last year, if we're looking just at last year, Jacob Webb was, to me, a solid guy in the bullpen. I thought he was a solid guy to come back to the Braves bullpen early on opening day. I think we won't know really what happened with Jacob Webb until his inevitable return. I think that's when you'll hear, yeah, he had more options than so and so, or he had a tough spring, or whatever the case may be. You'll find out then. But that's what depth does to you, as a reliever. But another guy, the Braves also optioned Guillermo Heredia. This was not surprising. This is the one that I was not surprised at all about. I told you last week, I told you as late as Monday, I thought this was going to happen. And I thought that there was a slim to none chance he makes the opening day roster. With the surrounding guys popping off at the plate, he just got outmatched. Guillermo Heredia, think about it. Sean Kazmar's killing it. A-Ray Adrianza came out of nowhere. He's absolutely smoking the ball right now. At the end of the day, Guillermo Heredia just lost a spot. There was nowhere for him. And this is just no surprise for me. So again, Kyle Wright, Jacob Webb, and Guillermo Heredia have all been optioned to the minor leagues. They could potentially see time in the majors at some point if they get the call. But, those are some of the biggest roster moves since Monday. But there are other headlines that we need to talk about. First off, Max Fried. This is with no shock to anyone. Max Fried has been named the opening day starter. And after last year, I just don't see how you could take it from him. He leads that rotation. Regardless of opinion, he leads that rotation. And you can argue there's more talent elsewhere, raw talent in that rotation, but that guy's earned it. Congrats to Max Fried. I thought that was the right pick. I thought that was the obvious pick, and it certainly did not surprise me. But we did have some big on-the-field moments that happened this week, and spring training is what it is. It's spring training. But at the end of the day, sometimes some big things happen. One of the biggest confidence boosters for me was Drew Smiley's performance today, actually. He had 5 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 walk, and he struck out 6. He looked really good, and that's a bounce-back performance because last time we saw him, he was really, really struggling. So This is a big deal, far bigger than most people are going to make it. I'm telling you, this is a very good sign for Drew Smiley. It's that back of the end rotation that we didn't have last year. That's what we need this year. And we're not giving that rotation enough credit. That rotation was a huge advancement. I know we're all worried about the bench right now. I know we're kind of worried about the bullpen, maybe even a little worried about the offense. But it's a really good adjustment to see as we near the end of spring training and we're gearing up for opening day very soon. It is a very good thing to see. And make no mistake, the offense has also looked really good lately. We're going to talk about somebody specific right now. Did you all see the pair of homers that Austin Riley hit yesterday? Just quick, this is according to Mark Bowman. One was 428 feet. The other was 442 feet. Also, it was over the batter's eye in center. So I'm not saying I told you so when it comes to waiting on this kid. I'm just going to continue to tell you, wait on this kid. Stop the talk about trading Austin Riley. That's out of the picture at this point. That guy has way too much talent. He has way too much potential waiting to be let loose. And I think he's only going to grow. I think he could have a bounce. I'm not going to bounce here. I think he could have a very substantial year this year if he performs the way we all know he can. So the skill for him is starting to show. He's having better at bats. And that's, if nothing else, it's a homer day. Doesn't happen all the time. So congrats to Austin Riley on there. So hopefully we'll see some more 2-homer days throughout this year. Of course, there were more moments other than just Riley, with plenty of guys showing out. Ozuna had a homer today. Pache was 2 for 2 today. I'm not recapping the week here, but there's obviously a lot of storylines going on. Ultimately, opening day is in 7 days. It's a week away. By then, we'll know a lot more about where we stand. We'll know a lot more about who's going to be the bench, who's being the bullpen. We're really going to – a lot of it's going to be solved. It's going to be set on. But I think ultimately, gear up for opening day. It's coming up soon, and it's going to be here before you know it. So let's get into some of you guys. It's probably going to be a shorter broadcast tonight. We are going to talk to you guys. It's probably going to be more interactive than usual. I'll see what super chat. So I'm him first. CJ, when will the Braves? Okay, when are they going to make a decision regarding the tomahawk chop? Okay, I haven't heard anything specific on that here lately. I think whether or not they're playing that tune, but hopefully it's still, because I'm not politics necessarily, but to me, the tomahawk chop is a staple of the Braves, and they're not the only team that does it. The Chiefs do it. The Seminoles do it right there. There's a lot of teams that do it, and I think it belongs with the Braves. I think there's history there with Deion Sanders. I think there's a lot of things that ultimately it brings a smile to Braves fans' faces. I think that's a bad thing. Also, I'll tell you, if someone asks, I don't tell you my opinion. I tell you Chief's opinion. If not home with this. And his opinion is that it is not disrespectful to the Native American culture. It embraces his culture, and he has no issue with it. And that's where I stand on it. If he had an issue with it, I might feel differently. But honestly, I don't. So again, guys, go ahead and do me a favor. I see 17 of you guys are watching us. Make sure you like this video and get it out there to other Braves fans. It really helps me out a lot here at the channel. Appreciate that super chat, by the way, CJ. It really helps me out. JW, I think I answered your question. Will Enoa be in the bullpen? I think so. I think Enoa, if he's not on opening day, which I would expect him to be, if Enoa's not in the bullpen, I would be very surprised. The guy had a really good postseason last year. Has had a decent spring, and I think there's no reason to think he couldn't be in the bullpen. JW, you're asking me about Kyle Muller. Kyle Muller's the guy I've had my eye on since about last year. I really had my eye on. Had on for a few years, but really since last year, I thought he was almost major league ready. So I was really keeping an eye on him. Kyle Muller, I thought had a really good spring training for someone his age, for someone who's expected to be in MLB when he's expected to be in MLB. I think Kyle Muller could be ready to go pretty soon. I think if we had a first spring rotation, he might get that call. He could stand for guys like Tucker Davis and Patrick Weigel, but Kyle Muller's the standout to me. The thing that I keep thinking of with Kyle Muller, just go look at the stat line, because day to day, when I watch his game, it never feels like it's out of control. It never feels like any of that. So I almost wonder why not put him in the pen this year. Let him get some of that experience that Max Fried got. I know I say that a lot for different guys, but Kyle Muller's a guy that could be very influential in that role. I think he could get an Ian Anderson style call up midway through the season if we're struggling in starting pitching or bullpen. I think he's the guy that could do it. Davidson's a guy that could do it. Patrick Weigel potentially. There's a few guys in the minors that are really standouts, and he's certainly one of them. In terms of spring, I thought he did fine. I thought, that you can't really do much better than what he did at his age, and hopefully we'll see him soon. That's really all I can say there, ultimately. But I see having some connection issues. Hopefully that's over and done with, and we're back to normal. Let me see. What's up, Atlanta Kid? Bash Brothers. I don't know if you answered this, but do you think it's guaranteed for Pache to be starting center field for this season? Yes, I do. I don't know about opening day, but I think at some point or another, Christian Pache will start center field. I don't think that's I think Pache's got talent. I think he's got more raw talent. I think he's got more ups the backs. I think, his fielding is obviously Gold Glove level. Based on all reports, it's potential Gold Glove level. I just don't see Ender topping that. The only thing that keeps me in the loop with that is Ender is getting paid $8 million this year. And that's not necessarily bad on the Braves because when they gave him that contract, he had just gotten off a 200-hit season. So it's not like it's a bad move. It's just we're in the latter half of that now, or we're at the tail end of it. We're still paying him. So you got to use Ender to some degree if you're going to pay him $8 million. However, you got to pay him $8 million and he's got to play somewhere, and he's not doing it as a rookie. I think he knows his time with the Braves is coming up. I think he knows this is probably his last year if he doesn't get traded. But I do think Pache, whether it be on opening day or whether it be a month into the season, Pache will be your starting center fielder before it's been done. Thanks for that question, though. Caleb Cox, what about Austin Riley? So ready to watch him break out. Great Brave in the making. Yeah, man. Austin Riley is a guy that I think could just go on another 2-week, 3-week tear up Major League pitching. I really do. I think Austin Riley has the potential to, I know I use that word with him a lot, but he really does. He has all the potential in the world. Don't let me overstate that. But again, Austin Riley has potential in the world. I told you since day one, do not trade him. He is valuable. And I think I've been right so far. I mean, Donaldson, all due respect, we would have paid him more than Marcell Ozuna. He was hurt last year. We didn't get to see what he was going to do with it, but also heading towards the end of his career. And we all talk about trades, but you're not even considering money. You're not considering how many prospects you'd have to give up. It would cost more than Austin Riley to go get a Matt Chapman, a proven performer, a Nolan Arenado, another proven performer. It would take more than just Austin Riley to get it. If it was straight up, yes, I would take Nolan Arenado, the best third baseman probably MLB. But at the end of the day, it's not. It would not be a straight up trade. It would be Austin Riley, Kyle Muller, Waters. It wouldn't be that equal of a trade. I don't think a lot of people think about it that way. But look, I really think Austin Riley is performing exceptionally well. That was obviously a really good thing to see. 442 feet over the batter line in center field. I'd love to see him in Home Run Derby this year in Atlanta, personally. I think if there's one guy, I love Marcell Ozuna, but if there's one guy I want to see in that Home Run Riley. Let me see. Do you think the Braves should have kept Culberson? Oh, we're bringing a name back. Okay, Culberson. If you guys didn't know, Charlie Culberson is now in Texas. He is with the Rangers with none other than Mike Fultonevich. Both are friends of the channel to some degree. I would have loved the Braves to have kept Culberson. I don't think it was their choice. I think Culberson left, and Culberson left for an opportunity at more playing time, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the Braves would have loved to keep him. They probably would have solved a lot of their bench issues right now. He was so versatile. He could play infield, outfield, catcher, pitcher, first base, second base, whatever, in one guy. So I think that's certainly an issue. And not to mention he's a very clutch player. He's D1 in the batter's box, got ice water running through the vent. So yeah, I would have loved him to have stayed with the Braves, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Hopefully Jake Lamb, Jason Kipnis, Pablo Sandoval, and A-Ray Adrianza. Hopefully we'll find another Culberson in that mix that really gets the fans liking him. But Caleb Cox, talking about Riley here. That was so dumb, in my opinion. He is a caliber of a future star. He is the next Freddie, which was the next Chipper. I don't disagree with you. I think Austin. I mean, look, it's hard to put somebody's name like that. I don't consider Freddie the next Chipper. I think he's the first Freddie. I think Austin Riley's the first Austin Riley. Hopefully, he could be a home run hitter. If there's a hitter he reminds me of, it's probably like Ranko. Honestly, just a guy. The swing is similar. That's who he reminds me of. Obviously, switching sides in a batter's box. I've heard Troy Gloss is kind of that's a similar stance, a similar swing, but it's hard to put somebody's name like that on a kid as young as Riley. But I think he's certainly got all the potential in the world. He's got all the right gifts, if you get what I'm saying. Atlanta Kid says, I think A-Ray Adrianza will be the next Charlie Clutch. Let's call it the A-Ray extravaganza. I'm not playing with y'all. But look, A-Ray Adrianza has really come out of nowhere in spring training. That guy, they've talked about more than they've been able to. That guy has performed exceptionally well so far in spring training, and that's what you want to see as we move forward, especially in a struggling bench scenario. The Braves have signed, I think, 3 free agents kind of under the radar. I didn't even talk about it because it's so under the radar. They've played all of about 5 games in major leagues, things like that. They're just kind of out there. I think they're more there to be coaches in the minors. They're kind of, long-time minor leaguers. Dealing with the bench right now, anybody that's popping off, you got to give them the bat. Sean Kazmar, A-Ray Adrianza, whoever that may be, you got to give them the bat. They're hot. You got to give it to them. But we'll see. I personally, I think once we have eyes on these guys, open is the first, right? It's like 5 or 6, 7 days away, 7 days away. I think once we have eyes on these guys, we'll have a lot better feel as to who's going to be around. It wasn't that long ago. We're talking a lot about Adrianza, Sean Kazmar right now. A couple of years ago, it was Ryan Flaherty, if you remember him, a couple guys like that. And, you thought Flaherty was going to stick around with the Braves, and then he got traded, or he got released or sent to the minors, or whatever the case may be, after about a month into the season. So it was kind of surprising. I hope that's not necessarily the case. I don't think it is, because we do have a lot of bench problems. I really think once we have eyes on these guys, we'll have a better idea. Atlanta Kid, it's a new topic we don't speak about usually. If we lose Dansby, do you think Kazman, Schick, or Camargo fill the void? And that international signing. The international signing is 3 to 4 years away. But I think Camargo has lost a lot of his defense currently. According to any article I've read, he's really taken a step back in his defense, especially at shortstop. So that's obviously an issue. I don't know if he could do it or not. That depends solely on his defense. His offense, we know what his offense is. But I think Braden, we've heard a lot about. He could probably do it. Sean K, I think the depth is our biggest concern. I talked about that a lot last week. Alex Anthopoulos came out and just said it. And I've told you that the depth is going to be our biggest concern. The depth in the bullpen, the depth of the bench, depth if someone gets hurt, that is the biggest concern. Camargo is good because he is versatile. I just think he's lost a little bit of that in terms of shortstop. I don't know that he's quick enough anymore to be able to do that. His bat seems to have gotten a little bit better, maybe. Like to get a little bit more smallish and not be aiming for the fence every time like Ender does these days. But I think if Dansby was to go down, they would have a replacement. It wouldn't be Dansby Swanson, though, ultimately. That's something I worry about. But in that same token, if Freddie Freeman were to go down, it wouldn't be the same. You get what I'm saying? I mean, we're talking about star players here. You might be able to replace a guy like, but those guys are young. They're not influential parts of the lineup. I could replace Pache a little easier than you could replace Dansby in that regard, because you do have Ender ready on go. You do have Drew Waters in the minors ready on go. Trey Harris, you got those guys, that we've heard so much about, but he's also just a prospect. Dan's a veteran, to some degree. Not in the Freddie is, but he's getting up there. He's been in the league a few years. I just don't think that's easily replaced. Time put in is not a very easy thing to substitute. But that is what it is. Again, guys, just going to recap real quick because I know I did it very early on in the broadcast. Just what happened this week. Kyle Wright has been optioned to the minor leagues. Jacob Webb has been optioned to the minor leagues. And Guillermo Heredia has been optioned to the leagues. The biggest shocker probably in terms of just name value is probably Kyle Wright there. I think we all assumed he was going to be in the bullpen. And the other one that's really surprising to me is Jacob Webb. I don't think that's getting enough attention. Webb was dominant last year. He's a one-inning guy. He comes in, usually 3 up, 3 down, very little base runners, and a lot of strikeouts. It was kind of surprising to see him in that same token. But the Braves obviously have a plan, and those guys probably have more options than guys that are pushing the limit. And they had to narrow it down. So we'll see. I think look, guys, we're not going to know what the actual plan is until we get well into the season. This happens every year. You got your core players, Ronald Acuna, Marcell Ozuna, Freddie Freeman, Dansby Swanson. I'd even say Austin, you just assume are going to be there. And then you got guys like Ender and Pache who are in competition. You got guys like, Williams Contreras and Alex Jackson who are vying for that spot left behind by Tom Flowers. You got Soroka gone, so now you got a, battle between Kyle Wright and Bryce Wilson. There's always going to be that every year. And you're not really going to know who's going to take that long term until you're well into the season. That's just how the stuff goes. But I think ultimately, I mentioned this earlier, Bryce Wilson has earned that spot for the 5-hole. Unfortunately, they have Kyle Wright out, but Kyle Wright had like a 4.5 ERA to finish his spring at the major league level. And Bryce Wilson had a sub-2. So that's obviously a very different scenario there. I just think ultimately Kyle Wright probably does need time in the minors to figure out his consistency because he's hit or miss. It's hit or miss. He can be really good. He's got really good stuff, but you put pressure on him like postseason last year. He's not there. And that did not surprise me as much as Jacob Webb did. I'm not saying it's wrong. I don't know necessarily in terms of, what he did in spring. Yeah, Jameson, I agree. Jacob Webb being sent down is just a little bit of a head scratcher. Again, it's not like I'm not going to react to it like I did with the Duvall thing. The Duvall thing really surprised me because they could have got a bench player. Really saw a point in that. But that's what happens. Atlanta Kid, is Tucker Davidson a 2021 or 2022 call up if you had to guess as of today? Or just the younger guys, the younger crew. Right now, may or may not come back next year, right? If I had to guess, probably not. So that opens up a spot, but that spot probably belongs to Bryce Wilson, right? And then you got the minor league level pitching right now is really good. You got Patrick Weigel, Tucker Davidson, Kyle Muller, all these guys we keep hearing about. And they've been really good for a long time. So it's hard to say. If I had to say right now, it would probably be 2022. And that's just because I don't know where he fits into a starting rotation role unless we see some pieces move. And I don't know what those pieces would be on top of my head. Yeah, Jameson, you feel like Bryce was a little bit more in control of what he was doing on the mound. I agree, and I think that is a very similar thing to what happened. I think Bryce Wilson being in more control is very similar to how he was in the postseason last year, right? Because Kyle Wright was obviously not in control. I think we can all agree there. He was really just – I don't know if the lights were too bright. I don't know what it was. He was just out of it. Bryce Wilson, very different. Bryce Wilson was very much in control. I felt confident with him on the mound for about 2 or 3 innings. I would feel confident if we went to a postseason right now with Bryce Will on the mound. I think he has a different mindset. I think he has the ability to, to close out everything around him, be able to just perform, and he did. But yeah, I think Nate Jones is a great pickup. I think he could be the Darren O'Day of this year. Not that he's summering, but his windup is alternating. Yeah, I played MLB The Show a couple days ago, and Nate Jones played against me in Battle Royale. That was a weird windup to hit against, similar to Darren O'Day. And I know it's a video game. Hear me out. Yeah, his windup it's different. If you haven't seen it, go look it up. It's different. I'm not saying that it is better, worse. I don't know. It's different. I'm not sure if that helps him or not, but it's again different. So that might be why he's one of the front runners, right? But Carl Edwards Jr. is one of the biggest surprises. I think him opting out like that is a bit surprising. I'm not saying it's I'm not saying that it's we're in doomsday or anything. That's not the case. I think that was a business decision, and we have plenty of other options of the same level as Carl Edwards. But it's interesting. Get ready for MLB The Show 21. I played a tech test. Some great Braves video games are just a little bit too new for me. I came up with PlayStation 2. I have a PlayStation 4. I play MLB The Show every now and then. I recently got into the online stuff. Before, like a month ago, I was really not into it. My little brother plays it on there, but I have just never really played it regularly. I recently started trying to get ready for MLB 21. That game looks amazing. Unfortunately, I don't have a PlayStation 5. The game does look amazing, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, appreciate it, though. Could you possibly describe, do you want it that Nate says 4-time? I don't know what you're asking me there, bud. We're actually going to wrap it up pretty early tonight. I'm going to move into autograph of the day. If you got anything else, make it a super chat and I'll answer it. But I got to get out of here, guys. I actually have to go to work at like 8 o'clock. So I am going to wrap it up here in just a minute. But we are going to hit autograph of the day real quick. I got a really good one for you tonight. Really good one for you tonight. It's one of my favorite pieces. Genuinely. I'm not making it up. It's one of my absolute favorite pieces. It's probably one of my most expensive pieces. It was given to me as a graduation gift a few years ago. And the guy that gave it to me gave me a couple other things that I'll probably end up showing you guys at some point. But tonight, nobody would outmatch this, I don't think. It is a picture. It's an 8x10. I'm going to turn it around real quick. It is the Splendid Splinter. He wrote The Science of Hitting. It's Ted Williams. Easily in my top 3, probably my best piece. Ted Williams, one of the greatest players ever, probably the greatest hitter ever. Just flat out hitter ever. I mean, he wrote The Science of Hitting. That's one of my just pieces that hangs up on my wall. Not going anywhere, not selling it. You don't ask. But yeah, so that's all for the day. Ted Williams. If you don't know who Ted Williams is, you've been living under a rock. You're not allowed to watch this channel anymore. But we are going to wrap it up, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Obviously, we had some headlines to get through, and hopefully we'll have some more as opening day is around the corner. Braves are allowing fans, so if you're at the park, let me know. Drop a comment somewhere. Let me know you're at the park opening day. That's really cool. I may be able to get up there and do something. I'll try to do something. But next week, we do have a lot of content coming to the channel. I told you the last live broadcast, I had a buddy in here. He was recording me for school, and the assignment we're doing for school is actually a video production, believe it or not. And we're covering this. So I'll have basically a new channel trail on this stuff, and just kind of behind my. It's basically a day in the life of Tyler Redmond. It's basically what it is. You're into that, but that will be next week. Tune in for that. Obviously, we'll have opening day coverage. I'll try to be live. I'll try to be as active as I can be around opening day. So here's what I need you guys to do. Okay, tell your friends about this channel. Tell your friends that I'm active here. Tell your friends all that good stuff. It really helps me out. Of course, we came on early tonight, but usually it's on Monday, Thursday, 8 p.m. We may change that throughout the regular season, depending on when the Braves are playing, things like that, to be a little bit more accommodating for you guys. But Again, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. One more time before we go, though, go check out Llerandi Gloves. These guys are absolute geniuses when it comes to baseball gloves. I love this one. I've been trying to throw with it, breaking it in. It's comfortable. But look, if you don't like the color of this glove, you can get this exact same glove in 18 different colors. There's a lot more styles. If you're a catcher, they got catcher's mitts, and they're all for a great price. You're talking the difference between like $450 to $215. Okay, trust me. Go check it out. It'll be worth your time. The link is in the description below. You guys are great. Don't miss out. Go check them out. And as always, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll see you Monday. And until then, appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in to On Deck.